Welcome back to the Survivor After Show. I'm Jeff Probst, or Ashley Neleh, and I'm joined this time with our awesome podcast editor and director, Ananda Lewis, or NANU.
Hey everyone.
Our winner that got away, Cole Metters, or Jathan.
Hello.
And our second casualty of Winners at War, Kyle Jason, or Kyle H.
How's it going?
Welcome, everybody, and thanks so much for being here. So we're going to dissect the second episode of Survivor.
Okay, so I have to ask Kyle, because usually at episode 2 is when all the idol hunting, the camp searching begins. Did it feel like the same way it usually did, as opposed to like when you did it the first time in your first season?
I think it was the exact same format, and I remember like specifically how to do it, where you just like, what I did was I just randomly searched and did like whole sections, which I don't know if like the older players, like the people who played in like the 2000s, knew how to do it, but I don't know. I tried helping them out, but it was definitely something I already seen before, and like I wasn't surprised by it.
Yeah, I guess that's like a little small element that gives the newer school players a little bit of advantage, if you will. I don't think like the old school players really had a problem with getting up to speed with it, but I think like in terms of small tips and tricks about like knowing where to search for hints.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helps.
Yeah, I remember like Brenda asked me like if there was like hints in like the pictures and stuff, and I remember there were hints. I didn't find any. I don't know if there were this season. I remember there were hints in 38.
Yeah, there were relatively fewer little hidden clues this time around, but I think by episode 3 onwards there was one clue hidden every new episode, either in the channel descriptions or in images, like you said, or in commands.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really feel like people were picking up on them that quickly this time around, so that might, the old school thing might be one of the reasons. I don't know. I actually don't know how quickly players whether players found those hints or not. So hey, let us know in the viewers lounge if you found clues and you played this season.
Speaking of like twists, at the beginning of this episode we saw that like Darnell gave his clue to Edge of Extinction clue to Lindsay. So what did y'all think? I mean, to Kyle, because I think this was the first time he actually knew that like Darnell gave his clue to Lindsay. Or did you know when you two met in pre-jury lounge?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the twist until I was voted out. And the twist was really annoying because I guess it only helps you if you're not voted out unanimous, which me and Darnell were, so we didn't even get a chance to use it.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of early on. You kind of need to have like at least just one really close person that's it's going to send you to the edge of extinction. I'm curious as to why you picked Lydia though.
I don't really know. I just assumed that anyone I picked, maybe I was wrong. Maybe picking Brenda was better in hindsight, but I just liked talking to Lydia the most. So I was like, okay, if anybody deserves a clue, it's Lydia. Because I don't know, I thought our conversations were the best of anyone.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we did see in the episodes that she had like good feelings towards you, and she didn't like voting you out wasn't really her first choice of things to do, but it felt like that was she just wanted to go with the flow.
Oh, I was going to clarify. So you were picking with the mindset that they would take the clue and not send you, and you're just kind of deciding who you wanted to give the clue to rather than who would be most likely to send you to the edge.
Yeah, that's correct. Because like, if I was in their shoes and I just voted somebody out, I don't want them back in, and all of them voted me. So like, I was just like, okay, I'll give it to the person who deserves it, which I thought was Lydia, because I thought they made like the most effort with me.
Do you think you would have stood a good chance at winning that return challenge?
I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't really spectate this season, so I don't even know what the challenge was. But I bet I would have. I don't know. I'm pretty decent at the challenges. I probably could have.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I definitely could have placed like at least top 3 in it. Even that, like, I don't know. That's like generally where I place in them.
Yeah,
especially because like when we saw the challenge play out in real time as part of Dream Teamers, a bunch of us were thinking there's no way they were gonna vote out you because you were one of the better challenge performers that day, and we saw how badly Yarov did. So when it spun around and it suddenly became, oh, Kyle's in the booth, it was kind of shocking to us, I think. I'm not sure about how Ash felt. I can't remember how Ash felt, but like from me, like watching it all play out, it was very surprising, I guess. But like, kudos to like whoever turned it around.
I don't know. If I was in the game, I'd vote me out second. That's what they should have done in 38. So fair enough to them. Like I don't really know. I didn't read like the confessionals. I don't think I ever had access. Like the episode is all I've read as the like why. And I don't know. I still
Yeah,
really.
fair enough.
I guess it's like I didn't connect with Sarah enough was the reason. Which I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't. I felt so on the outs just because like everyone would tell me they played in like 2005 and I was 3 years old then, and I don't know, I just felt so like outside of everyone.
You were the youngest person on the tribe by at least a decade, right? Was it hard to connect outside of Survivor history?
I thought like my our conversations were good, like I thought I was like connecting well, but I don't know, like people just really didn't DM me a lot, and I don't know if it's just because like they were at work or whatever, or like just didn't have the time or just didn't even want to talk to me. I don't know. But I just felt like the only person I could like have conversations with really was like Nick. Everyone else I would like DM them and then it would take like an hour or like 45 minutes for like a response to happen. And like when that happens, like I don't really know like how you're supposed to hold a conversation, when it's like 45 minutes between messages. But like in 38, season 38, every single person I could, was like Nick, where I could like have a full conversation with them. But like throughout the entire day. But here it was like I could have conversations, but it would only be like after like 8 p.m. or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but that's like the vibes I got.
Okay, that's yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. I think strangely, like with Darnell, who appeared in the last podcast, he had like a sort of different experience where he felt like his the people in 31, 32 Edge of Extinction, which he won. I think he felt like the cast there was actually socially weaker than the people on Dakal he played with this time. So that's an interesting like difference, right?
I wouldn't say the 38 cast was socially stronger. I feel like everyone on 38 came to play early, which is like it's kind of like everyone was like, okay, we'll just go with the flow. Sure, let's do Kyle. Like if you want to win Survivor, which like the whole cast did, like that's kind of how you have to play. You just go with the flow early and then make the moves late. That's like that, like that's literally like the blueprint to win Survivor. So and everyone here did it. So I mean, respect.
Yeah, that does seem to be the meta, and like nobody really wants to create any waves. And I guess everybody is approaching it from the same perspective.
Yeah, I remember in 38, there was like a 7-person alliance made like day one, and then like by day 3, I was in like 2 sub 3-person alliances, and like like it was just crazy off the bat. But this was like I don't know, I wasn't in any alliances. Maybe I was just bad, but I wasn't in shit. And then I was just voted out 6-1. So
did you try to like start making like game talk more aggressively once you heard your name was out there, or was your plan also to kind of just go with the flow and hopefully it would kind of fall on Crystal or Brenda?
Yeah, I would say my game plan was just to go with the flow. Well, the only person who told me my name was out there was Nick, and then Brenda later. So I mean, I was like, without that, I would have just been completely blindsided with the vote. Sarah and Lydia and them did a really good job, not even like letting me hint that it was me.
Was there a reason why you didn't pick Nick for the fire token and the clue?
No, there's no reason. I just thought Lydia was funnier.
I do think that like you had a chance of surviving the vote. I think the problem was that in a group of 7, there was a majority alliance of 4 people, and then the 2 people targeting each other were not any way sort of way in that alliance. So I think had either Brenda or Crystal been in that majority 4, I think you would have survived because they would have probably tried to push for the other person harder than Tara.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a majority alliance. This is like the first time I've heard about it.
Honestly, editing the episode was also the first time I realized that there was like a 4. It seems to be very much like a temporary like voting block, right? I'm not sure. I don't remember if it continues. I mean, throughout the season, but I mean they're close. But I never thought of them as like an alliance of 4 either.
I think seeing the episodes play out in later time, I do think we're going to see the bond of those 4 impact what happens in the game. I guess not so much in terms of the strategy, but also in terms of like how their respective journeys will be impacted emotionally. Because I do remember like hearing about the Tara Nick bond, the Tara Aaron bond. I do remember like we're going to hear about these things later on. So
yeah,
I do think it's gonna play out later, but it's also shocking to see it play out like this early. So I guess in that vein, like what's the most shocking thing to y'all when you saw the episode come out? Like
I don't really know. I thought it was kind of what I expected. Like
okay.
Like I didn't really see anything crazy crazy.
Did you expect people to be nicer in their confessionals or like less nice? Was it about the same way that like 38 was pitched?
Yeah, it was pretty similar to 38 in the fact that everyone wasn't like over the top. I mean, there was like a bit of like, trash talk, but I mean, I did it too, so but yeah, I didn't really think. I mean, it kind of seemed like a boring vote, to be honest.
I don't think it was boring. It wasn't super clear, I think, because there were a number of targets.
I think the vote came out clear, but at the beginning, there was definitely a number of conflicts in terms of the root target. And it was not specifically like, let's get rid of Kyle as early as, after y'all lost the challenge.
Yeah, because strangely enough, you were probably not the top choice for a vote for at least 2 or 3 other people in that tribe.
It was crazy because like I don't know, I don't remember when the challenge was, but it was like at midnight for me. And then so I was like, okay, I'm not staying up for this. So I went to sleep, and then I woke up and I saw that we lost, and I saw that I had like like the best time of like by far of anyone in my tribe. And then I opened my DMs and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, your name's out there from Nick. And I'm like, okay. It's like Crystal, you, and Brenda's names are out there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I literally just woke up and I see that. Like I don't really know what the play is to react to that, I guess I just like hoped it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And just went with the flow, and then it was me.
Cole, was there anything about the episode that surprised you?
Yeah, I guess it did seem like based on the way that it was edited, you did get a little unlucky with it seemed like you had pretty good bonds with Crystal and Brenda, but then the other 4 it seemed like that came together partially because those were the 4 people whose names weren't out there and they needed to decide who to actually vote out, which kind of is pretty unlucky for the chips to fall that way.
So this episode, we introduced the Island of the Idols, and that is obviously a twist which you, Kyle, would be familiar with.
Oh, it was introduced? When? I don't even remember.
Where there was a part about right after the camp search started, and then Amber and Sarah.
I didn't even know. I didn't find anything, so I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, so like just to clarify it for everybody, there were 2 tickets for each tribe that were hidden, and these were not going to be in an Island of the Idols. It was every time somebody found a ticket, I think it was put back. That may not be accurate. I think for Island of the Idols, every time, actually I don't even remember. Nanu, do you remember? I'm not sure if we put it back, but
was J. Cole at the island?
No, he declined for both islands. So, and also like remember last episode when I said that I didn't really pay much attention to instructions on Swift? Yeah, I do not remember how the Island of the Idols mechanic works, but I do know that like for the Island of the Idols, damn it, I can't say it properly. For the idols on that island to work, they basically had to do a puzzle, and then whoever had the best time, their idol was active. For everyone else, their idol was inactive, and so it would remain active until an Island of the Idols idol was played at tribal council. At which point, all the other idols are rendered inactive, and then the leaderboard reset. And I think in the very next episode, we're gonna see that play out in more detail.
Right. For I guess it's kind of like a lower scale twist of the full thing we did in 38. And that it was only 2 per camp. We would put in new tickets. So this time Amber and Sarah found it, and then we'll see in the next couple of episodes people finding a couple more tickets. But I think only 5 of the tickets get found throughout the season. I actually realized I never revealed who had the faster time between Amber and Sarah, because I guess to the overall narrative it didn't matter. But I can say that Amber had 6 minutes and Sarah had 8 minutes. So Amber had the active idol.
Congratulations, Amber. You had the active idol, at least for this episode.
So Cole, I want to talk to you. So watching how the episodes and how the season ran, how do you think you would have done in a season like this?
Well, it's pretty hard to speculate, just given that the tribes were just divided randomly.
Yeah.
Honestly, with my just crazy Scrabble schedule and all the lack of internet access, I think I'd have been a pretty early boot if I did accept the invitation back. But if I had 7 hours on a computer all day to socialize, then maybe I think I would have been able to integrate. But it's pretty hard to say, just with kind of all the weird time zones. Like I'm sure that played into Darnell's going out first, where just being in Europe is probably kind of one of the worst time zones for overlapping with Asia and also half the US.
Yeah. So what would your strategy have been? I mean, it doesn't have to be like to compensate for this travel schedule. You can assume that you did in fact have 7 hours at the computer every day.
I mean, I think Kyle put it best. It's kind of like go with the flow. So I mean, that was also, I didn't really go into my season with much of a strategy. I think read previous seasons and I saw going with the flow is the best kind of strategy, but I'm just a little too impulsive for that. So I remember even early on for tribals, we would be debating between two borderline inactive people, and even then, I would kind of make my preferences known. So maybe it would have been kind of like, it seems like Sarah got her way this episode, so maybe it would have been a little like that. But that's not like what I think going in.
Is there anybody you would have wanted to work with specifically? Because I know you're close with maybe a couple people. Nick, for example.
Yeah, I think after seeing kind of the first ones, obviously, and seeing how Game Changers played out, where there's always the background old school versus new school narrative, that's not actually that's kind of like the foreground of what you can just go around to everyone saying, oh, like, oh, us new schoolers should team up. But then I think there's always, when there's a big obvious narrative like that, there's kind of odd potential to have kind of your secret one-on-ones behind the scenes. That would have probably been what I would have tried to go with, like find a couple of people that maybe would be unexpected that I really gel with and just kind of work with that. That's something that's more unexpected. And then you have kind of like a hand in, if there's like an old school group chat or a new school group chat, which actually I'm not sure there was this season. There wasn't Game Changers. NANU, correct me if I'm wrong, but then you pretty much know all the major plans going on both sides.
Actually, I felt the old school versus new school sentiment stronger here in Winners at War than I did in Game Changers. Because if I remember correctly, on Game Changers, there were not enough old schoolers at the time to be able to say there's an old school alliance, or at the very least, we were not always all together in that we were able to align. I guess like Betsy, Brooke, Silas, and Steven had their own thing going on in their tribe, and then I was just like trying to survive. Like the entire pre-merge for me was all I'm going to tribal council, I'm getting booted, and I had chats with like Brooke and Steven on one of the swaps, and then they blindsided me when they put out Sierra, so I was like, cool, and then I just ghosted the chat. I mean, we're all laughing about it now, but like at the time I was like, ooh.
I guess the thing about like Game Changers was that like you guys didn't necessarily play together in a season before, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here it was like, I think many of these former winners have played together, if not once, but in multiple games. Definitely in Heroes versus Villains, because that was when pretty much all the winners by that point were invited back.
Oh, I would say that's actually was my big surprise, was just if you scroll through series history, like if you just pick a random season, like you'll see that actually like some of the individual seasons alone, that kind of you'll see like 5 or 6 people on the cast in. So it's not like one game that these people have connection from, but like quite a few.
I knew 0 relationships at all. The only one I knew was Karishma because I played with her. But I literally came into this blind, and I didn't do any research either. So I was just like, I just hoped for the best.
I think the research would have been hard regardless, because there's so many seasons, and I think there was like many of these seasons like cumulatively having an effect. Strangely, I thought there was going to be more beef, actually. I thought that the old school bond starting the season might have been weaker because people had, concerns about other people playing in the cast. So it kind of just ended up that people put aside their beef in favor of nostalgia. And I think people were like, I'll go with the enemy I know rather than the one I don't.
I mean, time heals everything. It takes a lot of energy to keep up a one-sided beef with someone you haven't spoken to in over 10 years.
Cole, would you have considered yourself new school or old school?
I would have definitely have considered myself new school. I think I caught mostly just the very tail end of FGC, and even then, I think I only ever played one Survivor game, which I actually didn't remember that well, but I reread recently while the season was going on. It was very funny enough. Aaron, so it's hosted by RS, and Aaron was in the final 3 of the season I played, and pulled a strategy very similar to Krishma, which I thought was kind of funny in retrospect. Like if you read her opening statement from that season, which I didn't remember at all, but it was justifying why she didn't talk to like 4 or 5 people on the jury, and it's because she wasn't allied with them. And I just thought that was a funny parallel with kind of how Final Tribal went this season.
So since we're on that, any thoughts on who do you think will win this season?
My personal thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does seem like it's a very close race between Nick and Aaron. Like my prediction was going to be a 5-for-1 either way, and I could see it going either way. I currently feel like maybe Nick has the edge, although I actually didn't fully read read every final tribal questioning thread, so I'm not like the most informed on that. But if I had to pick, I'd put money on him as a slight edge, but I wouldn't be very confident about keeping it.
Yeah.
How about you, Kyle? Because like you played with Karishma on 38, and then you've also played with Nick and Aaron on Yara. So like, who do you think of the three who will probably win?
Like I said, I haven't really kept up with the season or like had access to confessionals, but from Viewers Lounge, it sounds like Nick's winning. But if I had a jury vote, I'd vote for Karishma because I think 3 seasons in a row of not getting voted out is insanely impressive.
It is insanely impressive. Yeah, we were talking about that a lot. If this were Survivor, she would have done what?
117 days.
I love that. That's amazing.
Which would be a record, probably, right?
Yeah, for consecutive days, absolutely.
That's some impressive shit right there.
Yeah, and like it's just a really funny story arc because every single time she's on a season, like the first few episodes are kind of rough for her, and if her tribe loses, there's a good chance she was gonna go home, but she manages to keep that energy and like take it to the end.
Yeah, I really wanted to link up with Karishma at like with a merge and swap because I thought we could be a duo, obviously, just because of like our season connection. And I thought Karishma would be a bigger target than me. Even though I beat her, I was like, she made the end 2 seasons in a row. I could just make the argument that like, why would you let her make 3 in a row, But then, she made it 3 in a row, which I never thought would happen. If I was like in the game, I would have been scared to sit against that.
So I think during the episodes, Nick mentioned that part of the reason he decided to end up voting for you was because he was worried about you linking up with Karishma later on. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I literally talked to him about it, and I said like, I hope I don't get targeted because I have like a free ally in Karishma, and he said like, oh no problem. But I guess I was in the end.
Yeah, to be fair, that was probably my editing that made it a bit more ambiguous. So I think what really happened was Karishma randomly mentioned you doing something on 38, which was like completely not really game related. And then that led Nick down the spiral of looking through the 38 episodes. And then he realized, oh, he's like going to be a hard player to take out later on. So that was the reasoning. But there wasn't a way for me to work that into the episode without referring to the internet. So that's why it came out the way it did.
Yeah, I never did any research like that on anyone. But fair play to him for taking this seriously. And it looks like it paid off for him too.
I'm surprised actually it didn't come up in like one of the end game challenges. I feel like one of the first things I would have done in my free time is just to kind of make a spreadsheet with like 40 columns and just highlight who was on which season, and their like each cell would be kind of their placement on that. And maybe I do some fancy conditional formatting so it'd be like a pretty heat map. Actually, maybe I'll do that after this and post it in the Viewers Lounge.
I would say that's too much, but I would have probably done a similar thing. So go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, now we know how much you like your bar segment colored.
Yeah, like I know people do like DM counts and stuff like that, and make like pie charts and stuff. I don't know. I've never done anything of that sort. Whenever I play, like I don't know. I just feel like it's not worth the effort. Like how much info does that actually provide? Spend like an hour making it, and then it doesn't help you at all. Like I don't know.
Probably not. You probably knew the answer without the spreadsheet. Okay, I think we're close to the end of the time we have. So let's do the word association game.
What are we doing this time? Because like we did animals, and then like Nick and Natalie in Viewers Lounge said no, we want the lamb with the dress. I guess Natalie had a reaction to the snake after all.
So Kyle, what's in your profile?
Mandalorian from Star Wars.
Okay, shall we do Star Wars characters?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna read out a name for somebody who's in the game, and then you tell me which Star Wars character you think of first. You don't need any explanations. You can if you want, but just the first one that comes to your mind. Okay, let's go. Karishma.
Obi-Wan, because that's like my favorite. Oh god, I don't even know if I have enough. Hold on.
Nick.
Hold on. Nick. I don't know, like Boba Fett.
Okay. Brenda.
Oh my gosh. Yoda.
Aaron.
Baby Yoda.
Okay. Lydia.
Oh my gosh. R2D2.
Who else do I have? Crystal.
There's not that many characters. The ones I can think of do not fit. Hold on. I don't know. Qui-Gon Jinn.
Just the first one that comes into your mind. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay. So any last questions or thought before we round this off?
No, I don't have anything.
What about you, Cole? How was Bachelor in Paradise?
It was great.
Wait, you were in Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah, Bachelor in Paradise Canada too.
What the actual fuck?
That was my real conflict.
When was this?
Yeah. Well, we're sorry we couldn't have you on the season because of that scheduling conflict. And anyway.
Wait. We need a whole podcast to discuss this shit. Because like, hey, Bachelor Nation.
No, it's not real. It's not real.
I'm pretending it is.
It's a real Colemators.
Wait, that's also news to me.
Well, anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for the time. It's really great having you and talking to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for hosting me for 2 tribals.
All right. Well, take care, guys.
Thanks, Cole. Thanks, Kyle. See ya.